folks. It's Barry Chamish, and if you're listening, you know it's Barry Chamish. But I've got a pretty good show tonight. Look, we're going to begin with Janet Phalen, but our second guest he's kind of close to me for a long time, as a matter of fact. That's Clifford Shack, and we'll dive into his. Look, he's just like me in a way. A Jew who found out things that aren't so hot, and we don't know what to do about them. So he's next, but first, Janet. Janet, first of all, are you there?
Yes, Barry, I am here.
All right. Now, you have to go slow because I have no idea what the issue is here, but first of all, we'll begin with Tim Larman. He was arrested, and you think because he was a guardianship activist. What the hell is a guardianship activist?
Well, I'll answer that question, and then I will need to amend what you just said about the reasons for his arrest.
I don't think I said the reasons.
You said guardianship activist. You said I thought he was arrested because he was a guardianship activist. So
well, that's what you wrote me. You said that he's a strong guardianship reform activist in Indiana. That's what you wrote me. I didn't make it up.
Yes, he is a strong guardianship reform activist. And the circumstances around his arrest are so bizarre that I'm actually very grateful for you having me on the air to discuss this, because it frankly...
you can discuss anything with me, but first of all,
Let's talk about what a guardianship activist is.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What is it?
So we have an issue going on now that has resulted in activism all across the country. Actually, grassroots groups are springing up to address the problems.
The grassroots are back together? My goodness.
Address the problems of corrupt guardianships.
All right. Now, what is a guardianship and what's a corrupt one? And why was he arrested for it? And let's, first of all, what
a guardianship is.
Yes,
right?
Finally, yes.
Okay, so guardianships are generally established through court proceedings when there are allegations that a person is lacking capacity. And when a court slams down the gavel and says that a person is lacking capacity, it then becomes a legal fact that the person loses almost all of their rights. They lose access to their property. They may not even be able to hire an attorney to controvert these allegations. And in addition, they lose the right of association. The guardian will make the decision for them whether they're allowed to see family, where they will live.
Wait. Who's the guardian? All right.
Appointed by the court.
Thank you. All right. Now, a grown man, you're talking about an adult gets a guardian?
Yep, an adult. Generally, this impacts two potential populations, the disabled and the elderly.
All right. So far, I think I understand this for the good of people who are not capable of handling their own lives. They're given a guardian, right?
Ostensibly. However, one could see where if a person has no rights, can't hire a lawyer, can't even see their family, and the guardian has total control over their assets, one could see where this might provide a portal for some scurrilous and unethical people to go in and take control over someone's money and steal it, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah. In fact, the problem of scurrilous and unethical guardians and their attorneys moving in on people, taking over their assets, and stealing from them
Hold on a second. You have to go slow. You're saying the court can hand over whoever the victim is. You're saying the court can hand over their bank accounts to the guardian?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens. Not only can the court, but if a person is adjudicated incompetent, they will be handed over to the guardian.
All right.
So let's say, for example, Barry, that
Yeah.
that I go to court and I say, Barry Chamish, I think he's losing it. He has all these conspiracy theories, and and he just says things that sound.
Who's going to be my guardian after you say this?
Well, after you say all this, the court may, in its infinite wisdom, appoint you a professional guardian, a guardian for profit, in which case the guardian will pay himself handsomely for taking care of your assets. In addition, of course, there's the attorney's fees. And sometimes we find the accountings they just don't add up.
Well, how do you pay yourself? The money's got to come from somewhere.
Comes from you. It'll come from you, Barry.
Well, why would you volunteer? All right, go ahead. All right.
Your assets will pay for the guardian.
All right, I've never heard of this.
Actually, there's been a lot of coverage in the press out in Florida recently. This issue has gotten so much press coverage that the legislature in Florida has just recently passed a package of new laws attempting to ostensibly protect people under guardianship from unethical and predatory guardians.
I just am missing one thing. If the person, the victim, whatever, has no money, then he has no guardian. Is that what you're saying?
We do see that this is a profit-driven enterprise. However, there is also the office of the public guardian, and the public guardian will, quote-unquote, take care of individuals who are more or less indigent.
And the money comes from where?
Well, the money at that point will come from whatever entitlement benefits the person may have, whether it's Social Security or whatever, and also potentially from the state itself.
All right, and you're saying there is some sort of movement to reform the system. Is that
out in Florida? There is a group that was established by a medical doctor, Dr. Sam Sugar. It's called Americans Against Abusive Probate Guardianships. There is another group, national, which is called National Association to Stop Guardianship Abuse. And there are other more local groups popping up as well. The problem has become national.
How many, I don't know another word, I'd say victim, but I'm not sure that's a good description. How many does a guardian get to have?
Well, that's a good question. We are aware that there are guardians that have over 200 clients at one time, but I don't know if there's actually a legal limit on how many victims or clients you're allowed to have.
Another word. In other words, you're saying he can strip the bank accounts of 200 people all at the same time the court views him as a reliable guardian? I'm trying to get a grasp on this.
This appears to be a cottage industry involved in basically transfer of wealth. And the courts...
These families, don't they have someone to speak up for them? The clients.
Well, the clients, this is where it gets very interesting because case after case where a family member, let's say an adult child of a person under guardianship, might be concerned either about their inability to visit their parents because, the adult, the person under guardianship is now basically under the control of the guardian, and the guardian will decide whether or not your own kids can see you. So let's say an adult child gets concerned about this and petitions the court. What very often happens is that restraining orders are issued against the adult child attempting to see their parent. Now, this sounds...
What?
Hmm?
What are they being restrained from doing? Issuing.
Seeing their parents.
All right, that's different. I guess it's not a restraint so much as an upholding. And once again,
Upholding what? What does that uphold? It destroys family rights.
well, it upholds the court decision.
Well, not really, because the court, by appointing a guardian, that does not destroy family rights. That simply, allegedly, ostensibly, puts a professional in place to manage the affairs. Now,
You choose the guardian. Do you have a choice here?
You have
a nice one and a rotten one. You know, is there some way that you can find a really good guardian? And again, I'm having trouble with this whole concept. But do you have a choice?
You have no choice and you have no voice. You are incompetent, which means, in a sense, you're a legal zero. According to the court, you're incompetent, you are a legal zero. Now, I believe that almost every country has in place some sort of mechanisms to take care of people who are lacking capacity. It's called, I think, parens patriae or something like that. It's an old concept. If you have someone who can't take care of themselves, the state has been known to step in. However, what we're seeing here...
You're talking about humanely.
Humanely, right.
You get fed, something like that, right?
Yeah, something nice like that. However, what we're seeing with these restraining orders, and I want to give an example here of a bona fide restraining order that can be checked out by anyone who's listening to this, and I would hope you would be as shocked about this as I was.
Well, I'm confused about this, I'll tell you that.
There was an individual, let me just tell this very briefly. There was an individual who was a probate attorney, he was a guardianship attorney, name of J. David Horspool, and he arranged to have his own father put under a guardianship. And he also arranged to have his father taken away from his wife against his will and against the wife's will. Of course, only for his father's own good, you understand. And so when the adult child, the brother of J. David Horspool, named William Horspool, went to visit his dad in his new dwelling, he found his dad lying in a pile of poop. So William, thinking that he could, help his father out, took some photos of this and appealed to the court for some sort of intervention. Now, what happened as a result of this was the judge in the case, whose name was Michael Welch, the sitting probate judge in San Bernardino County, he ordered the photos destroyed, and he permanently restrained William Horspool from his father without a hearing. Now, that's a due process violation.
You're making this up, right?
No, I'm not making it up. It's actually, it can be checked out.
An attorney who probably can afford to be a guardian of his father, there must have been an argument, some rivalry, some reason for this.
Well, interestingly enough, after William, who was the former peace officer, was permanently restrained from his father, and the faction of the adult children led up by J. David Horspool had complete control of the father, guess what happened then?
I don't know.
They lost the father's will. So they just happened to lose it. They just misplaced it, right? So, we have a situation where that appears to be, at least to some degree, money-driven, where there are those who have legal knowledge, who know how to kind of play fast and hard with the system in order for their own financial gain. Now, there are further aspects to the Horspool conservatorship that I want to bring up real briefly.
Go ahead.
The father, is now removed from his wife.
And she doesn't object.
Oh,
she's not a little ticked off that.
Oh, she's very ticked off. Yeah.
All right, so throw that in.
Now she's very ticked off, and so are some of the adult children. So it is
There are
decided by
more children?
there were 5 or 6 in that family. It was a large family. Yeah.
Okay, you got to throw that in.
Okay.
All right.
So J. David Horspool and his sister, one of his sisters who became the guardian, decided unilaterally that they would allow their father's pacemaker to run down. That is, it needed a new battery.
They're going to kill the father?
I have the letter in my possession from the doctor who is in charge of the case, informing the adult children that the decision has been made to let the pacemaker run down.
Come on, is that look, between us, isn't that murder?
You know something? It kind of looks like that. And then, you lose the will. So, what happens to all the assets? It's a very seamy situation. And this particular seamy situation involved a well-respected probate attorney, J. David Horspool, who incidentally has been involved in other cases equally as seamy. So this can be checked out. Actually, the court record in the conservatorship of Raymond Horspool in San Bernardino Court will completely verify these statements that I've made. So this is an example of...
Is the father alive right now? Is he alive?
No, the father's pacemaker ran down within a month. They
really did. All right, I got you.
Died.
That is a form of homicide, maybe manslaughter, I don't know what. But if it's deliberate, that is a crime. It's on the books. It's a felony.
Those of us who still have our ethical senses intact might think so. However, apparently, according to the court and according to J. David Horspool, it's business as usual.
And he couldn't just look at his pacemaker and say, this thing is winding down, I better put in a new battery or something. He couldn't save his own life?
You have to open up your chest to do that, It takes,
really?
It takes a medical procedure. Yeah, it's not stuck. The pacemaker isn't stuck on top of your chest. It's
all right, so all in all, you're describing what appears on the surface, unless there's a really good justification, and it's got to be a really good one. I don't know what it could be. You're not allowed to do what you're describing.
I'm saying that apparently you are allowed to do what you're describing because J. David Horspool is free, right, and 21, and his father is dead.
All right. When did he die?
This was a couple of years ago.
All right, so this is an old case, I suppose.
Well,
I don't know what to
it's a good exemplary case, and unfortunately, this issue of these restraining orders against concerned family members, etc., are being issued very liberally by courts, because a concerned adult child, such as William Horspool, who goes in to see his father and finds him lying in excrement, someone like that might want to protect their parent.
Well, look, his brother's the attorney and he's the cop. So apparently he has more say with the court. I'm guessing from what you've described, but what you've described it's nothing I know about. It's not anything I can relate to.
Well, right, there's been a lot of press out there in Florida. I know you're in Florida, and maybe you like to check that decree.
Something I'm following. All right.
Okay.
Maybe now I'll look again and see it differently. But you're talking about a failure of transparency in the government. How is this a failure in transparency? Well, I guess they're not releasing the documents. What do you mean?
Well,
where's the failure of
let's get into some of these cases now, because we not only now have we not only have restraining orders being issued against people. We now have people who are becoming active concerning this issue being put into jail. And this is...
How long and what charge?
Okay, let's start with... I've got several here I'd like to talk about. Let's talk for a minute about Tim Larman, because this situation is very fresh. Tim Larman was arrested about 2 weeks ago. Tim Larman is a name that is well known among guardianship activists, because Tim is a paralegal. Tim has been working
What
with
is a paralegal? What does that mean? He's not a lawyer. What is a paralegal?
Right. There are various universities that issue certifications, so paralegals can do certain kinds of legal work. They are not lawyers. They can't formally represent clients, but they certainly do help with preparation of paperwork and so forth.
All right,
Now,
so he's a paralegal. Go on with Tim Larman.
right. So he's not only a paralegal, he is someone who was put under guardianship, I believe about 20 years ago. He's not an old man. Tim's, I believe, 57 now. He was put under guardianship about 20 years ago, apparently because he had a predatory brother who wanted to steal his business. Now, we have seen already in this discussion how the guardian gets control over all your assets and so forth. And in this case, apparently, Tim had a very lucrative business, which was effectively stolen from him when he was put under a guardianship. Now, the interesting...
And the guardian got it, just so we... Where did it go?
I'm not so sure if it went to the guardian or if there was collusion with the brother and it went to the brother. But nevertheless, somebody got the business. However, one of the interesting things about Tim's situation is the guardianship was never ended. The guardian just kind of raped, pillaged, and plundered and wandered off and left Tim under guardianship, but without an active guardian. It's a very interesting situation. So we fast forward now. All this happened, I believe.
Yeah, we better. I want to add one thing that does make... Just put things in perspective. You're saying he was arrested for a 17-year-old warrant to buy and having a little marijuana in his possession. How did he escape the warrant for 17 years? How did he get another license?
Well, Tim Tim wasn't in hiding. He wasn't attempting to escape anything. It's a very interesting thing that happened because, he was arrested, I believe, or he was charged anyway. He was charged 17 years ago for, I believe, a driving with a suspended license and also having a marijuana cigarette or something.
And how do you escape a warrant? They follow you. They never let you go.
I know, it's amazing. Well, he as I said, he has become a paralegal. He's a smart person. And actually, a person under guardianship who is totally incompetent can't actually be charged with a crime because you're not competent to commit a crime. It's a very interesting legal loophole. You not only have no rights, but since you have no capacity, you can't really have the intent to commit a crime. So let me finish. Wait, let me finish it. Let me finish here.
No, we're going to have a commercial. What do you mean you let me finish? We're going to be interrupted. Okay. Look, we're taking 3 minutes off. Whoever's singing in the background, in those 3 minutes, will you tell them to shut up? All right, that's the first thing. It's very disturbing. And secondly, the Tim Larman thing is also, we will continue with it. There's a lot of loose ends here, just to let you know. Now, we disappear for 3 minutes, but you contacted the court. This is why I like this interview. It's not just, there's the bleep, bleep, bleep. You contacted the court. You have a stake in this, and that's why I found this very, very relevant. You're in the midst of it. Why? Who knows? I'm still confused. We'll be back in 3 minutes. I'll plug me, you'll plug you, and we'll get to the bottom of this case. This is very Chamish with the guardian reform. So, it's
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
The book of Revelation says, "The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ." This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the left behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
Yeah, hey folks, we've got a good show. What can you say? I've never heard of this issue of guardianship, but we'll dive into it with Janet Phalen in a second. First, get all my books at lulu.com. That's www.lulu.com. There's a search box. Spell in my last name, Chamish, Chamish. They'll get you to all my books. I'm not sure even one has any relevance to this subject. Frankly, I don't think they do, but you'll like them anyways. And the website is barrychamish.com. Janet, tell people how to get a hold of you. Janet? Oh.
Sorry, I'm here. I had myself muted. So, you can no longer get a hold of me through my website because my website has been hacked, and now at this point it's in la la land. It no longer exists.
How do we get a hold of you that isn't through your website?
I'm so glad you asked that question. You can get a hold of me through Facebook, Janet C. Phalen, or that's the best way to get a hold of me.
How do you spell Phalen? How do you spell Janet? The whole thing.
Janet is Janet, middle initial C, last name P as in popcorn, Helan.
All right, folks, we are, for a week anyways, we're archived at libertyarchives.com. Now, I'm going to quote you. You contacted the court on behalf of Tim Larman to find out what was legally disposable. And disclosable. And within a day, the clerk, the county clerk, got a hold of you and said, screeching at you no less, we won't give you anything. Now, how did you piss her off? I think when you work for a county, you don't screech at somebody phoning you.
What one would hope so, but then America, the legal system's in free fall, and it seems like anything goes these days. Yes, I had contacted Vicki Myers, the court clerk, the day before, and had asked if I could see the arrest warrant for Tim Larman. She sounded a little edgy. She said other people had been contacting her about, not a little defensive and edgy, and I tried to put her, at ease. She said, we won't disclose the arrest warrant. I said, gee, what would you disclose? And she said, well, we've got these two documents, the charging sheet and another thing. And I said, great. I said, I'll email you a Public Records Act request, and I'd sure appreciate it if I could get those documents. So within the intervening 24 hours, apparently Vicki Myers decided that she was not going to honor the law in Indiana. She was not going to honor the Public Records Act. Apparently other people had emailed her, and she'd gotten even more on edge. And so when I called her to follow up on the request, she started screeching, we won't give you anything. I was shocked. I said, well, I think according to the law, you have to, ma'am. She's still trying to be as polite as possible, and she's
Does she have a superior? Is there someone to turn to?
Well, what I did, Barry, is I was appalled, and the call was terminated. I sat there for a minute scratching my head. Then I picked up the phone, and I called the police, and I said, I would like to basically file a complaint against Court Clerk Vicki Myers for violating the Indiana Public Records Law. Now, that caused a little bit of, shall we say, upset in the police department, and I began to get emails, okay? I began to get, I got a call from a patrol officer. He assures me that the assistant sheriff will call me. People started to get upset, and within a couple hours, I got an email from somebody else in the city offering us the records. So, apparently, the fact that I didn't take this sitting down.
All right, what's in the records?
Well, it's interesting what's in the records because, Tim was arrested in 1997 on driving with a suspended license and having a roach in the ashtray of the car. He filed these papers having to do with his guardianship. Actually, he can't go to court on this legally. The guardian has to do everything for him. But the guardian, wandered off with his money, a good 15 years ago or something. Nobody's heard from the guardian since. So he filed these papers, and according to the record, a trial was held, and Tim was never summoned to the trial.
First of all, on the old warrant or on
this is back in the 1990s. This is back on the original charge.
He wasn't summoned, so you're saying that it was the court's fault. He didn't escape the warrant. The court screwed up. I guess.
I do think so. A jury was impaneled. He was tried in absentia without being basically summoned legally to court for his trial, and he was found guilty and sentenced to 2 years without being notified that a hearing was taking place.
All of this doesn't make sense to me.
This is what the record says.
Look, I may have an old view of law, and even when they're trying to fool you, they can't be this blatant. All right.
Let's point out something we discussed earlier. We had a former peace officer permanently restrained from his father for the act of proving lack of negligence on the part of the guardian, permanently restrained without a hearing. Now we have somebody who's not summoned to court for his trial, who is tried in absentia, and so apparently what it looks like.
By the way, I don't think you get a jury for driving under a suspended license. I think that's just a judge. You can't.
The record says that a jury was impaneled. Goodness knows what happened, because goodness knows, but this is what the record says.
I dive into it a little bit. And when you continue your work, find out why there was a jury for a suspended license trial, which is your driver's license is suspended another year, go home. All right? I mean, this is... All right.
Right. So that was well, this is, as I said earlier, it does appear that the legal system in the U.S. is somewhat in free fall. So this all happens about 17 years ago. Tim did not show up for his trial, and he just, continues on with his life. He continued on with his life. So a warrant was issued for his arrest after the trial. 17
years.
And then the warrant was reissued in 2010. That's 6 years ago. Now, according to the lawyers who have been discussing, who know Tim and have been discussing the situation, and some of them trying to intervene now, according to them, this is a stale warrant. And the warrant's no good. According to some of the lawyers, the warrant's no good. Nevertheless, he's picked up a couple weeks ago, put in jail on no bail.
By the way, why no bail?
That's another question.
Oh, because he jumped. I know why. Because he jumped arrest last time. All right, I can. Okay.
Well, did he jump arrest, or was he not summoned to court? According to the records, he wasn't summoned to court. So it's a very complicated and very seamy sort of situation in terms of the court's behavior here. So Tim, according to some of the individuals who are getting themselves involved in Tim's situation, including some lawyers, this whole thing just stinks. And it's a violation. It's a violation of civil rights. Yeah.
The whole thing stinks, and I think there's got to be more to it. But you jump to the conclusion it's all of this is happening because he got some folks out of guardianships. That's what you wrote me.
One would wonder, and because we have so many other situations now of guardianship activists being arrested and held in very suspicious ways, and I'd like to mention a couple of them because we still have a little bit of time left.
Go ahead.
There is a woman named Barbara Stone who was a licensed attorney in New York. Her mother was in a guardianship in Florida. She went to see her mother in the home her mother was being held in, and was shocked at the, how emaciated her mother was. Barbara Stone allegedly took her mother to lunch at Denny's and was arrested.
Oh, that's got to be a crime already.
One might think. But there might
especially if she had the pancakes. All right.
So she was arrested. She was held on house arrest, and then at one point she was transferred into jail. This is a licensed attorney who was arrested for custody interference by taking her own mom to lunch. Now, that's one situation. We have another ongoing situation now in Santa Clara County in California with guardianship activist Carrie Andrew Crittenden. Now, Carrie Andrew...
this is one you sent me, and you can actually slowly explain who he is and why he was arrested. Do it slowly.
Carrie Andrew
Crittenden.
Well, he's a reverend, and he has become concerned. He became concerned initially about the guardianship of a disabled woman named Heidi Yauman, and he attempted to file some sort of complaint about the treatment of Heidi Yauman, and then became aware that the legal system was not acting legally. So,
who was Heidi to him?
Heidi, I believe, was his ex-wife.
Oh, okay. You
Okay,
got to
but
throw these things in.
that's where it
Okay.
started. So Carrie Andrew Crittenden began to launch an internet campaign about injustice in Santa Clara County because, like so many of us who are trying to, get records, find out what's going on with these guardianships, restraining orders without hearings, court clerks screeching they won't give you records, that kind of thing, he became aware that there was a certain amount of corruption going on in these proceedings, and he began to post things online
All
about
right, the corruption leads to what? Why would people get corrupt
Ooh,
over
wait a minute,
guardianship? What do they get?
money.
Who's paying who, what, where?
The money comes out very often, it comes out of the ward's estate. People are
Oh,
left.
by the way, that's the right word. It's not client, it's ward. All right, the ward. All right, we've got it.
So, Carrie Andrew Crittenden was initially arrested, apparently for posting online some information about a police officer, which also contained his home address and phone number. Now, that's a no-no. You can't do that. Apparently, Crittenden didn't know that. He went to jail on that, served some time, was on probation, was approached while he was sitting at a Starbucks by police officers in Santa Clara County who demanded the password to his computer. He said, "This isn't my computer. I don't have to give you the password to somebody else's computer." So he was arrested on a probation violation. Spent about
Wait a second. Probation how is that a probation violation?
That's a
How?
good question. That's a good question. We still don't have an answer to that one. Now, Carrie Andrew.
That's an easy way out, but okay, what the heck?
No, we don't. It's not. I wish it were an easy way out because there's a lot going on in the Crittenden situation that is very ugly, and I want to fast forward to the current status right now because it's very concerning. Crittenden was again arrested on Christmas Day and is being held in Santa Clara County Jail. Now, pursuant to understanding that he's now seems to be being arrested repeatedly for what appears to be First Amendment issues, saying things about corrupt officials. I contacted the DA's office and I asked for the arrest record. I asked for the disclosure of the factual circumstances surrounding Carrie Andrew Crittenden's arrest. Now, in California, we not only have the sanctity of the Public Records Act, which will, allow certain records to be disclosed. We have a court case called Kuzar. Kuzar states specifically that if an individual is in custody at the time the request is made, that these reports, the police reports, the factual circumstances surrounding the arrest have to be disclosable. Well, not according to the DA. The DA will not cut these records loose. That's against the law. It's clearly against the law. So the DA...
Why was his wife put under guardianship?
Please, his wife was disabled. Now, okay. I want to go into the arrest now because we've got an individual sitting in jail, and we don't know why he's in jail. So when the Assistant District Attorney, David Angel, refused to obey the law in California and refused to cut loose the records, I then filed an internal affairs complaint against Assistant District Attorney David Angel. And
you filed it? You actually filed it?
Yes, I filed it. I filed it with an investigator, chief of investigations at the DA's office named Lieutenant Jose Perez. Lieutenant Jose Perez has essentially disappeared my report. He refuses to comment. He refuses to return.
You have a copy of it?
Yes, I do. I have a copy, and I also have a tracking number.
You know what? This is actually of interest. Please tell people once again your Facebook address. I assume you put it up on Facebook, right?
I have not put the complaint up on Facebook. I'll tell you, that's a darn good idea.
Oh, wow. I came up with... okay, fine. Look, you have to. Just tell people what your Facebook address is, and then later on put it up.
It is Janet C. Phalen. Now, just parenthetically, I write currently for New Eastern Outlook, which is located in Moscow, Russia. So if you go to
That's going to help credibility.
if you go to the New Eastern Outlook website, you can find all my articles for the last few years, including a number on guardianship, including an article about how attorneys who are now trying to help people in guardianship are having their licenses to practice law revoked and suspended. This is a serious...
What grounds?
We've only got a few minutes left.
It doesn't matter on what grounds.
On the grounds of, for example...
You have to have grounds.
In the matter of Joanne Dennison, who is an attorney in the Chicago area of Illinois, her license to practice law was suspended for 3 years because she has a blog talking about corruption in guardianships. The address of the blog is marygSykes.com.
Do that again. Sykes can be S-Y or S. Do it and spell it.
marygSykes.com. MARYGSYKES.com.
Good, folks.
So Joanne Dennison was essentially suspended from the practice of law for saying things about corrupt courts. There's another attorney. His name is Don Bailey. He's a well-known civil rights attorney out in Pennsylvania. He was suspended from the practice of law for saying the courts are corrupt. So we have...
not over guardianships, just broadly.
Broadly. Right.
All right.
But if you do go to New Eastern Outlook, you can see some of my articles about some other attorneys who have been suspended for trying to rescue people out of guardianships. Guardianships constitute a grave potential civil rights issue, because as soon as you take a citizen and say this person is not competent, I have to take all his money, I have to make all the decisions, whether or not he gets to see his family, where he can live. As soon as you do that, you have essentially entered a no man's land in terms of the U.S. Constitution. Now, the fact that Tim Larman, who is a brilliant paralegal, was put under guardianship in order to rob him of his business as a young man is something that we should all pay attention to, too, because it doesn't bode well for any of us.
It doesn't make sense.
Oh.
All right? No, it doesn't
make sense. Ka-ting. It makes sense for those who want other people's money.
All right, folks. I admit to confusion. Look, my understanding of the law, I know, and I've seen the worst of it, and I've seen really rotten people getting away with murder and all this, and I should be less naive. But this is so blatant. You have, restraining orders on innocent people, and you have these cases. Look, who's the girl attorney who has become involved with Tim Larman? Maybe we can have her on the show even. Who is she?
Yes, she's an attorney out in Texas named Candace Schwager, and I think it would be wonderful if you could have Candace on the show. Just in the last few minutes, I'd like to mention a plug for my book. My book is entitled Exile. I am currently on the show with you, Barry, from here in southern Mexico, where I'm living, having fled the United States. And the circumstances surrounding my fleeing the United States are recorded in my book, Exile, which you could find on thebookpatch.com.
Say that again, thebookwhat.com?
Bookpatch.com.
I assume that's P-A-T-C-H?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Bookpatch.com, Exile, Janet Phalen. All right. By the way, once again, for a week we're archived at libertyarchives.com if you missed that. All right. Who's the girl attorney? How's she gotten involved? Are you in touch with her? And we'll put her on the show. By the way, folks, Passover's coming up soon, so I may disappear. I'm not allowed to really break my Passover. All right, who's the girl attorney and how's she getting involved?
Candace Schwager has contacted the court opining to represent Timothy Larman. She is an attorney in Texas who has done some amazing work around the guardianship issue. I will, when I get off the show, I will send you her email address, and hopefully she would be happy to do your show. She's done some amazing work.
Well, again, she's actually defending Tim Larman.
No, she has contacted the court opining, wishing to do so. I do not have an update on whether they're going to permit her to or not.
What if he wants her?
He clearly does. He's been emailing her.
So why does he hire
her? It does depend on what the court says.
All right, folks. We have a very interesting interview with all kinds of things dangling still. You're talking about a crisis in government secrecy. How?
Well, the fact that the assistant district attorney in Santa Clara County will not obey the law and state why he has someone in custody, and as we can see now, Carrie Andrew Crittenden's been in custody over 3 months, and we don't know why. The fact that I could contact a court clerk in Goshen City, Indiana, and very politely ask for some records and be told, we won't give you anything. These situations are beginning to become, unfortunately, more and more regular. In fact, the Wall Street Journal recently published an article saying that under Obama, the administration is now the least transparent administration ever, that Public Records Act requests, FOIA requests are being stalled, they are being lost. So what I am experiencing here now in trying to get records for Carrie and trying to get records for Tim,
who has been in jail for 3 months, you're saying?
Right.
Oh.
And we don't know why.
There's got to be a reason. I'm just saying this. Look, taking the middle class point of view, okay? When this is not an assassination of a major leader. It's someone who's around your neighborhood, and he disappears for 3 months. You don't think people notice that?
I think that a lot of people are noticing that things are going on that are very irregular. And it is, I think, for this reason that we're getting more and more people active in various political sorts of efforts, such as the guardianship movement.
Well, that's certainly what you're active in. And as for, I don't think the folks are rising up over it, just to let you know.
Well,
did I lose you?
No.
Look, it's the first time I've heard. Oh gosh, all I can say is these people are in jail, and you don't know why. And it's the first time I've heard of her and him. What am I saying? There's 2 hymns. All right, folks, it was an interesting and confusing interview. Thank you, Janet. Cliff Shack is coming up next, and I promise you an equally interesting interview with him. We'll see you in 7 minutes. This is Barry Chamish. Thanks, Janet.
Thank you, Barry.